You're watching E.T.N. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do a Godzilla discussion video, and what we're going to discuss is how I would end the Monsterverse. Now, before we get into this topic, make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Off to the left on your screen, to my right. And also, don't forget, we are streaming this week starting Thursday night at 9 p.m., Friday night at 9 p.m., and Saturday night we're going to start at 8 p.m. And then at 9 p.m. on that stream, Lenny's going to take over for his first gaming session. He will be playing Apex Legends, so good stuff there. We also have a great surprise on Friday. There's going to be something I'm going to show the live stream, so for those of you who can't make it, I will put it up on the channel. But if you want to be the first to check it out, make sure you arrive on stream 9 p.m. Friday night. Okay, so how I would end the Monsterverse. This is assuming the Monsterverse continues after Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, I've given this a lot of thought, and this is something I have discussed before. This is not a new topic, but it evolves and it changes over time as information is released. And my last video, I spoke about Apex, and we also spoke about, what's going on in China. And I thought to myself, if Apex is an evil version of Monarch, if they're another organization that is just hell-bent on either controlling or destroying the kaiju, then I think, obviously, and I've said this before, that we would end the Monsterverse with destroy all monsters. Now, the way I would have this work is that on one end, we know that in Godzilla King of the Monsters, the Oxygen Destroyer, a prototype, was launched at Godzilla and Ghidorah while they were fighting in the ocean, and did not affect Ghidorah, but obviously it nearly killed Godzilla. So, taking that into account, I'm going to take into consideration that the Oxygen Destroyer may very well affect all the Titans, not just Godzilla. So, the way I would work this is that the movie would be Destroy All Monsters, and you would have Apex basically stealing the plans or the ideas or making some sort of espionage attempt and succeeding at stealing the Oxygen Destroyer plans and then perfecting it within their organization and using the weapon to destroy the Titans. And we would see certain Titans getting picked off in the movie one by one. But also on the other end, we have the eco-terrorists led by Jonah developing a new monster through the DNA of Ghidorah, and this monster happens to be Destroyer. When the eco-terrorists were on their way to get, or buy, I should say, the Ghidorah head, they stopped along the area where the Oxygen Destroyer was exploded or unleashed, and they found that there was a crustacean ocean crab of some sort that was able to survive the impact. And they felt that this, combined with Ghidorah's DNA, would create the ultimate monster, a monster that Apex couldn't destroy, and a monster that could also self-replicate, could break down, and could reattach themselves to form a bigger version of the monster. And this would be the end-all be-all villain of Destroy All Monsters. Now, the reason you pick off some of the Titans throughout the movie is because, obviously, if you have 17 Titans fighting Destroyer, they're probably going to win. But you want to narrow it down to just some of the core monsters. Rodan, Godzilla, maybe Kong, depending on how things play out in Godzilla vs. Kong, and then Mothra. You do want to have that moment where you do see Rodan, Mothra, and Godzilla come together and fight. But instead of fighting Ghidorah, this time they're fighting Destroyer. And maybe Kong is in the mix, depending on, like I said, whatever happens in Godzilla vs. Kong. This is essentially how I would end the Monsterverse. And I don't see, even though we've all fantasized and we've all had theory crafting about wanting different monsters, movies, like Rodan, Mothra, so on and so forth, assuming that's not going to happen because it is a bit far-fetched, We want it, yes, but is it likely to happen? No. And we don't even know if Godzilla versus Kong will be the last movie or not. I strongly believe that's going to depend on the performance at the box office. But I think even then, even if the performance is strong, I don't see it going beyond one more movie. I don't. So if I was to end it, I would end it on a big bang. I would make Destroyer my big baddie for the end and have the three core, like your three Avengers for the Monsterverse, come in there and just kill it. So that's my theory craft, or that's how I would end Godzilla, the Godzilla saga, the Monsterverse. Uh, we'll talk more about other ideas and things like that. Like if we wanted to extend the Monsterverse, how would we do it, or how I would do it for that matter, and what I would do to ensure that it can go on. We're gonna have more Godzilla videos coming. In fact, I got another one that I'm gonna be recording later on regarding MechaGodzilla. There's been a lot of talk ever since Toho has spoken about their desire to see MechaGodzilla. Still don't know if it'll happen. Still, as much as I love MechaGodzilla, it was the first Godzilla movie I'd ever seen, which is what made me fall in love with the Godzilla franchise, was Godzilla versus MechaGodzilla. MechaGodzilla 74 is my, always flip-flops between him and Ghidorah, between 1 and 2 most favorite villain in the Godzilla universe. So I would love nothing more than to see MechaGodzilla in the Monsterverse. And I think I'm more accepting of it now because I know that we're at the tail end. Before, I was never accepting of it because if they were going to continue to make movies, put it this way, if they have plans to make a lot of movies and they were guaranteed to make them, I would say either no on MechaGodzilla or leave them for the very end. Because if you put them in too early, there's gonna, let's say theoretically Godzilla is doing strong. Let's say King of the Monsters did fantastic. Let's say it did 700 million, just for argument's sake, so I can make my point here. If you put a MechaGodzilla too early in the franchise with a franchise that is still for the most part grounded, though borderline, I think MechaGodzilla takes it over that borderline, and then you probably lose a lot of the general audience, which you don't want to do because, as we've already seen, the general audience obviously does matter. They didn't show up for Godzilla King of the Monsters, and hence is why the movie didn't do too well at the box office. So I think MechaGodzilla would be a no for me unless you're going to leave him for the last movie, where you know you're not going to make any more. It doesn't matter what the general audience thinks at this point. It's already there. It's already been solidified. They have to sit and watch it, but you never have to worry about winning them over again because it's your last movie. Whereas putting it earlier in the franchise might turn some people off to a giant mechanical robot Godzilla being controlled by either humans or some sort of weird aliens. Or, over a year and a half ago, we had the live stream where we were all pitching ideas for different monsters in the Monsterverse. And the best idea I'd ever heard at that time, and I think it's in one of my videos, I have to pull it up, but it was definitely probably early last year, a couple of weeks before the King of the Monsters trailer. Somebody had mentioned a sort of nanotechnology MechaGodzilla, and that's probably the best case scenario to sell that. I don't think you can sell aliens, even though Monster Zero or King Ghidorah was an alien. They didn't really harp on that too much because they knew probably not a great idea. And a bunch of people in a giant robot Godzilla just even sounds silly to me. This is one of the reasons that I never liked the MechaGodzilla from later on in the Godzilla movies in the Heisei series and going forward, because it just seemed corny to me. It's one thing that those movies were corny. It was another thing to see a bunch of humans controlling a robot Godzilla just seemed extra corny. I always liked the idea of it being some sort of AI. It was okay that it was aliens back in the 70s because that cheesiness for the Showa films was, for whatever reason, was more acceptable. So yeah, but in terms of how I would end the Monsterverse, I would make the fourth movie after Godzilla vs. Kong, I would make it a Destroy All Monsters, very literal to the title. There's going to be a lot of Titans getting destroyed by the Oxygen Destroyer. And then they realize that they cannot kill Destroyer with the Oxygen Destroyer, and they have to rely on Godzilla and his small squad of Monsterverse Avengers in order to take out Destroyer, and then that ends the Monsterverse. So anyway, guys, what do you think? Give me your ideas for how you would end the Monsterverse. And we have more videos coming out today. We got a top 5 video coming out. It's been a while since we did one, but in the wake of the release of Avengers Endgame, I actually have 2 top 5s. I have one where we're going to do the top 5 female characters in the MCU. Yes, the unwoke version for the these are characters that I thought were developed really well, and they kind of earned their spot in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we're also going to do my top ranked MCU movies from the Infinity Saga. So starting from 23 all the way to 1, but I am going to do it in a top 5 format. So we're going to have the first 5. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. And this doesn't mean that any of these movies that are ranked lower are bad. It's just a general ranking of what I think were the best movies or good movies going all the way up to the best movies. So it doesn't mean that a movie sucks or anything like that. I know some people get sensitive when you do a ranking. And also remember, it's just my personal preference. This is not the end-all, be-all ranking. So we're going to start with that, and we'll do them systematically as the days progress. We got more scary stories coming out this week at nighttime. Those videos usually go up like around 11 o'clock. We got our live streams coming up, so we got a lot of good stuff coming. And yes, we do have our first Fringe Entertainment video coming tomorrow with the big talk about Area 51 and everybody storming the castle. I figured it'd be a great time to do an Area 51, some of the top conspiracy theories regarding Area 51 ever. That'll be out tomorrow. So we got a lot of good stuff coming in the next few days. So stick around on the channel. Make sure you hit the sub button. And I'll see you next video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news. We just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Click here to watch more content. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also, make sure you like and share this video. If you want to know when the next video is up, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And most of all, make sure to click that subscribe button for regular content.